want to crash hard tonight.
Oh, I crashed real hard. I was up for 22 hours, and I finally had enough.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't sleep.
You guys are amateurs.
Yeah,
He
amateurs.
goes to sleep like whatever he wants.
Every other day.
Every other day.
Maybe every 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
I finally decided to get some rest.
So welcome to How They Got Hacked, episode 28.
28?
28.
Ooh.
Oh, I got the number right. That's
Yeah,
awesome. Tom
yeah.
Lawrence?
Xavier D. Johnson.
Maurice Nash?
If you haven't heard it 28 times, you've now heard it 28 times.
Yes. Oh, we
I
should
don't
do a
know.
compilation of
Yeah.
all the intros.
Dude, that would be the fun intro. Because there's a way to insert that as a clip with OBS and hit pre-play the intro
Yeah.
where we say all the accumulations of us announcing our names.
There you go.
We should do that.
Until everyone goes, look, dude, it's just too long. Cut that shit out. Like the first 10 minutes of it is just you guys saying your names. We get it. We know who the fuck you are. Oh, someone says, hope you're feeling better, Xavier. How are you?
I have a Z-Pack, some antibiotics that I can drink alcohol on. I was specific. And I have an inhaler. So apparently I have bronchitis. And it's not something that your body can get rid of naturally. Hey, everybody. Can you guys hear me now?
I think
Good.
that was off.
Yeah. So just to kind of reiterate there, I have bronchitis, I have a Z-Pack, I have some other antibiotic, and I have an inhaler. Apparently bronchitis is something you can't get rid of yourself. I didn't realize that's how your lungs were supposed to sound. I thought when you get older, your lungs just get crunchy. But now I feel much better. And like,
Awesome.
you know what, I'll tell you this. If you are a nerd, like I'm a nerd, and you don't like working out, go get an inhaler and then go work out. It's cheating. It's totally cheating. I'm sorry, but it is. It's like it makes your lungs bigger, and you just got like super strength. You just like.
An inhaler are steroids, so that's why you feel.
But they're not anabolic steroids.
No, different
But they
type.
are steroids. So
But they not anabolic. You can't get.
a steroid is a steroid, sir.
Different types.
Okay.
I'm on the roids. I'm at the roid rage. I don't know.
Oh, I forgot to test
Chris
this.
Benoit style. Oh my God, that
Yeah.
was
Not
dark.
Chris Benoit
That was
style.
dark. I'm sorry.
Chris Benoit.
Hey, it works. I'm testing the cameras. I just realized I didn't have my laptop plugged in, so we got that set up. We had a hard time. I was very distracted today due to my marathon. I spoke at a digital summit. I was talking about YouTube, talking about all kinds of fun stuff. And then today, I was hanging out with the same person I got to meet 18 years ago today.
Nice.
For the first time. Was my daughter. So she was born 18 years ago today.
Oh.
I got to witness a birth. That's scary. I don't know if you want to see that or not. You know, I like having kids, but witnessing the birth was
Unfortunately, no, I do not have any kids as of yet.
Yeah. So
I'm engaged to be married, so that's coming soon. But I have a dog who likes to sleep in the bed with us.
that's all right. I remember, one of the distinct things I remember, not just her being born, the second thing I remember is the doctor took the wand away from me. So they had just built this new birthing room, and they had a little wand. Wherever you pointed the wand, the lights would point.
Oh.
It was neat. It was a real advanced thing for the time, 18 years ago.
Yeah.
So as soon as the doctor set it down and he went out of the room, I grabbed it. I'm like, dude, and he comes in and it is like, you know, you're like playing with it. Somebody comes up behind me, takes it out. That's not a toy. Oh, okay. I'm just expecting Dad. I'm like,
Whoops.
I felt like an inch tall. Like I'm just an asshole playing with this stuff. But I'm also like, I'm paying for it. I mean, I'm sure this room.
This is true. You
Like I remember it
definitely
cost a
paid
lot
for
of
it.
money to have a kid. It was. I had insurance, but it was like, damn, that's a lot of money.
It ain't cheap. I'm sure it's not cheap.
Yeah. So, but I hung out with my daughter a little bit today. Happy birthday, blah, blah, all that stuff. And, you know, she's an adult. She can vote. She can sign up for debt and all, sign contracts, all kinds of dumb shit now.
There you go.
She's not into technology, for anyone wondering. My kids, my son might be. We had a conversation that we won't
Oh,
repeat on
boy.
here. But my son definitely likes technology and maybe likes hacking. He's definitely thinking about it. But my daughter, no interest. Like, technology is just a tool.
He's going to make sure that, you know, people aren't smoking bees.
He's not smoking bees.
You know, I love his sense of humor.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, my son may be on his path of social engineering. We're going to have some talks with the boy. He's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep him in check before I have to get bail money or something.
I mean, that
'cause-
story pretty much kind of sounded like how it started out.
Yep.
Just being curious and
They start testing the
inquisitive.
waters. Inquisitive. Start testing the waters. One of the things before we get into some of the other hacking, I did a couple of videos as I've been deep in being MSP myself. terrified of being hacked, despite I hang out with people who have looked at my systems, and we've audited and we've talked stuff and we look into things all the time. There's always like maybe you missed something, and knowing how many of these MSP is hacked. Matter of fact, I got some inside knowledge talking with a team that does incident response, breach management, and just the number of MSPs that they've been at is just like, whoa, this like there's a lot of them. There's the ones you heard about in the news because they were big. There's all the smaller ones, which I would fall in that category that have been breached. And you're like, yeah, it doesn't make the news anywhere. No one wants to brag about it. You know, going, hey, I didn't have two-factor turn on, so yeah, now we're breached and we got to have some help. That being said, I did a video talking about how you can use Shodan as a tool to discover some of these MSPs. Well, let's twist that around a little bit, because one of the things that's really got me thinking here, and we table talked this a little bit amongst my staff, but these guys are kind of, I want to talk it to all of you, the audience, and a few of my friends sitting here. The mentality of most hackers is, and this really got me thinking.
Show and tell.
Yeah, show and tell. I just read the Snowden book, and he talked about that. So much of the mentality is show and tell. Look what I did. Look at this bad USB we created, which this is going to be another video topic. I do have this bad USB. It's programmed. Xavier's got a payload on it. Yes. This is going to be fun.
And does it abuse Internet Explorer?
It certainly abuses Internet
I'm
Explorer.
talking about on a brand new Windows 10 box. They can't get rid of Windows.
Yeah.
I mean, they can't get rid of Internet Explorer.
Yeah.
They can't get rid of it.
It's got some fun abuses.
It's too fast.
It's too fast. The demo on this, the video I do in the demo is going to be fun. But that being said, exactly the excitement level you just seen from all of us for any type of exciting technological thing we do, this is the typical hacker mentality. I thought about this reading Snowden's book. This is a typical hacker response is, I planted my flag. I wasn't there for any other reason than to say I was there, I did it. It's climbing a mountain. It's going to the moon. The MSP attacks, we're talking 400 dental offices. These are the big ones we know about. 400 dental offices hacked. 23 municipalities all hacked. All these different ones in Florida hacked.
Yeah.
0 attribution. We don't have a name. We don't have a signature.
That is so odd.
We don't have a signature. I was there, and that is like, even a graffiti artist tags his work. Like this is. It's not tagged. That's a weird aspect of it when I think about it. Like that's a missing component. Like it's just not there. We know good OPSEC is not bragging that you did it. Like if you want to be protecting your tradecraft and saying, a spy doesn't say I spied on you. Actually, the best spies, you never know they were spying. You know what I mean? Like that whole, we talked about this about 10 episodes ago about how they got in the 60s during the Cold War. They got in there to the Xerox machine.
Fax machine.
Yeah, fax machines and Xerox machines. Like the best spy ops are the ones you never know happen. We know that's in the tradecraft of that aspect. And I guess if you're a criminal and you're only in it for the money, but it also just got me thinking that there may not be a hacker. And because one of the things I point out in my video, how all this relates, is how low hanging the fruit was, how little time I had to spend to find an bigger MSP, bigger than me, at least based on how many staff they have. I don't know how many endpoints they're managing or how much revenue they're doing, but how quick it was for me to go from here's an MSP with all this stuff hanging wide open, and how easy it would have been to do this. I'm like, this is some really low-hanging fruit. It's almost like they're maybe not be the most skilled hackers. And that's actually one of the things that I took away, a big takeaway from the Datto webinar. If you haven't looked it up, I have a link to it in my video. But Datto did a whole webinar talking about these MSP breaches, and they said they're just not sophisticated attacks. They said they're not. They're not impressive. Like, these are people who have incredible defenses and skills, and they're going, they scooped up a password that was reused with no two-factor. That's it. And it came from a phishing email. They phished him with an email. They copied the password because it looked like a login page. It was super low-hanging fruit. There's nothing. That's the entirety of the breach. And talking with the people who are doing remediation, they said the same thing. Yeah, Tom, you'd be bored to death by the technical details. They sent them a phishing email, and they logged into their Screen Connect, and then they deployed ransomware.
I mean, well, when you think about it, right? You talk about it not being advanced. This is how the U.S. hacked ISIS. Mm-hmm. There was just an article that came out on NPR that I shared on my Twitter if you want to go check it out, where they dive into how the U.S. and all the joint forces and the Airs team and the whole coolness, right? But at the root of it, you know what they did? Sent phishing emails, got logins, and then when the general said fire, they started to log in as all of these people and started to delete everything and change all the passwords and basically remove a chunk of their internet presence. this is happening at a government. This is a nation state, our nation, right?
Yeah.
Using the exact same techniques that these people are using to breach MSPs, which is phishing emails, bad credentials, bad operational security.
Password reuse.
Hygiene is important when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Even when Snowden talked a lot in his book about different hacks that occurred and how the NSA does their stuff, a lot of it's as obvious as what we talked about. There's so many things now. Granted, they have access to a lot of advanced tools and things like that, so they do go above and beyond. We talked about that last week about some of the SIM jacking and everything else. I mean, there's some real advanced techniques that they have access to beyond that. But so much of the intel gathering is just as simple as the password reuse problem and the reuse of credential management. And they are at any given moment, they're always scrubbing through any of these dump lists of, all right, here's a big dump list we found of all these creds. Hey, look, it's at some company we're interested in .com. I bet that password works about 20 other places. And
guaranteed.
They frequently find out it sure does. It works in 20 other places.
It's kind of scary that it works in 20 other places.
I mean, look at the skills we learn every day. We practice, we learn new skills every day. But then to go to a system and you just put in admin password.
Yep.
Or even worse,
I mean,
roll up on somebody with that Wi-Fi pineapple and then just turn on responder.
Yeah.
And just go get the creds.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I couldn't connect to my SMB. Why? Oh, wait, my password works again. I must have fat fingered it.
Yeah.
Not
all the
that
time. All the time. The most basic stuff. There's something to be said about saving certain amounts of credentials on your computer, so it should be logged in. So It's suspicious when it doesn't. I'm hyper suspicious when it doesn't. It wouldn't log into one of my servers the other day. Turns out the server crashed. A whole different problem. But it turned me right into like whole paranoid mode and everything.
I don't know.
else.
I've been kind of freaked out lately because Twitter keeps making me re-sign in.
That happens in my Google account a lot, and so several of my staff, and I'm not sure why.
I-
Google has no security issues, no flaws, but it's kind of weird. We've been signed out of our business, only in my business account. It's not happening in my personal.
It freaks me out with Twitter because I don't see anybody else logged in. They show all of the users that can be logged in, but what I'm finding is that it's logging me out, and I'm logging back in, but they don't allow me to have like any special kind of multi-factor.
Yeah, Twitter, we talked about that last week when Twitter getting hacked. Like, they really need to go to standard 2FA. I mean, I have a lot of 2FAs under TOTP, time-based authentication, my favorite, because it's nice and offline, but it's still, why isn't Twitter doing it yet? Their CEO. I mean, come on. If that isn't enough motivation, well, nothing is.
Right. That definitely should be all the motivation needed. Our CEO got pwned.
Yeah. That should be enough to, like, rattle a company and go, all right, I guess we can use this well-documented, easy-to-implement open standard that there's plenty of libraries for, that it shouldn't be hard to integrate into your stack.
I mean, they probably feel like it's a user's problem since they didn't actually hack Twitter.
Right.
And just hack the person.
Right.
They don't care.
Yeah, they sim jacked.
They don't.
So Twitter's going,
this,
wasn't
sir.
my fault. AT&T, go get your shit secure. I think that's the attitude they're taking. It's not the right attitude. It's aggravating.
Yeah, it's not the right attitude, but that's what's happening.
The good news is about my Twitter, if someone were to ever compromise my Twitter, they would be bored.
Yeah.
It's one of the least exciting place I post on social media.
Yeah.
I mean, as an explorer,
It's still a thing.
Twitter, hacking into someone's Twitters.
Yeah.
Unless you're just trying
You post
to embarrass them
some
or something.
relative obscenities. Yeah. Anyways, I think this was a fun article to read. And this plays into many things that I talk about on my YouTube channel. And I also, God damn it, I love the play on words. Soho for, your small home office. Or
Soho.
So hopelessly broken.
So hopelessly broken.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like this is a thing. I love this. So Hopelessly Broken V1 was amazing.
Yep. This is V2.
Oh my God, I'm super excited about this. I'm like giddy.
Yeah, and it's funny. Now, I wish they would have covered FreeNAS in here, and they don't, which is unfortunate. But FreeNAS would have passed as well. But Synology did. There's a reason I chose Synology as one of our other companies.
But you see what is up there.
Oh, everything else.
The Asus RT AC 3200. Now, I have an Asus RT AC 5300.
It's probably the same firmware.
Well, I have it flashed with the Merlin. I don't know if I can say that out loud without, getting hit with a DMCA.
Yeah.
But I own it, so I pwned it.
No, Asus actually allows that.
Really?
Yes, Asus
Nice.
is one of the companies that's very friendly. They actually have an article. I don't remember what it is now. Or a long time ago, years ago, I had my Asus when they first started coming out with them, and that's one of the things I tested was putting on. They had the Tomato firmware.
Yep. Tomato is the
Tomato.
best.
Yeah, and there was an Asus is, I kind of get it from a hardware standpoint. Asus is like, we're a hardware company.
Yep.
If someone else wants to do that software
Flash that,
thing,
do it. Go
have
for
it. Like, they're not worried. As long as you're buying my Asus router, thumbs up.
And what really helped me, the reason why Merlin is so powerful to me is because it supports OpenVPN, but
Yes.
more than one at a time.
Right.
That's powerful
Yeah.
if you know what you're doing.
They take better advantage of the hardware in there, and that's one of those things from a hardware standpoint. And this is where, when you see all these companies like Netgear getting hacked and things like that, one of the reasons why is it's really hard to write good software. And
Oh, yeah.
if you can let the community write it, they're like, cool, we're in the hardware business. We happen to hire these code monkeys over here that don't do a great job. We don't pay them really well anyways. We didn't get the best and brightest over here because we're trying to sell
But in all reality, they're usually electrical engineers that have just solved a very, very unique problem. Like
Right.
my Asus RT5300, right? That thing does microwave. It's got 3x3 MIMO, and it's a tri-band. I got two 5 gigahertz band radios and a 2.4 gigahertz radio, and it does microwave. Like, these people have figured out how to make a unit, not a cheap unit, but it does microwave. Like,
Right.
that's nuts, bro, in your house. So I think that, when you think about this type of technology, they have to invest in a certain type of brained person.
Right.
The people who make chips are really, really, with embedded and close to the silicon. They are not thinking about security because that happens in user space.
Yep.
All
Right.
of that silicon shit happens in kernel space.
Right.
They assume it is separated. There's a ring 0 and a ring 1.
Right. And we have every company from Netgear, Nighthawk, TerraMaster, Drobo, Zyxel. I haven't heard of the Total Link, but Seagate, QNAP, all companies you've heard of,
Nice. Lenovo.
And a lot of these are some is a mix of storage devices and other home routers in here. And the only one not to fall victim to everything from cross-site scripting, buffer overflow, command injection, SQL injection, authentication bypass, etc., the whole top row here, was the Synology. And Synology is one company, and we have worked with them. We actually met and went to a junket that they paid for. We had really good food, and but that wasn't why I liked them. That's just a bonus. But we've researched the product, and it seems to be a pretty solid product. My preference, of course, is always FreeNAS, big open source project there, and we do a lot of commercial deployments of FreeNAS in terms of storage servers, but you can use it in your house as well. But this is my point. Xavier's talked about lateral movement a lot, and this is how you laterally move inside a network. Because they call it small home office, and I would actually call it a lot of law offices that we go to with Asus routers.
Also, yeah.
And-
all SMBs run Soho stuff.
Yeah, all these
Small,
small
that's the
businesses.
SO, small office.
Yeah, small office. And it's definitely a factor of how these smaller ones, and matter of fact, a lot of times they don't know they're breached. Someone gets in there, they just mess with them. They grab some data, find out what they can do with
Change
it.
their DNS server.
Change the DNS server, start messing
Ooh.
with things. But they get lateral movement very quickly because we run into these devices all the time when we do takeovers. And then they always are, there's that resistance when you get into a client of, I don't want to get rid of the Drobo. It's always worked so well. Or this, I'm like, there's a million vulnerabilities in this thing. It's just not, like if someone compromises your computer, and by the way, you guys are click vicious. You're clicking on everything. It's a matter of time before you click on something that actually pops your box. So we do try to rip these out and try to get them commercial, but it's never been more affordable. I mean, I just did a follow-up review on the Netgate SG3100, or 1100. It's a great little box that, because of tariffs, the price is only up to $179 now versus $159. It went up $20, but still, it's a solid way to protect your network where you don't have to worry about them compromising that particular box.
Right.
Even if you use it in its most basic mode, you're far better off than you are with some of these other devices. But I'll leave a link to the report in the show notes here.
So hopelessly broken.
So hopelessly broken 2.0.
Yeah.
So
That's awesome.
this was an interesting read too.
Oh boy.
Now, boy, I'm gonna really play off the fact that I read the Snowden book because he talks a lot about how the NSA literally legit. I mean, he at the highest level can't crack a lot of things, and that's why these things happen.
Okay.
So the FBI tried to plant a backdoor in encrypted phone networks. So the FBI wanted backdoor in a Phantom Secure, an encrypted phone company that sold to members of the cartel, and which is linked to alleged leaking of sensitive law enforcement information in Canada. So this is kind of a mess, but this is the FBI trying to insert itself, and goes back a number of years, and this was the phone service that El Chapo was using as well in the cartel. So this has some very deep links to it. The new signals from some of the tactics enforcement may have used as criminals continue to leverage encrypted communication for their own ends. It also comes out as a Canadian media reported that a former top official in the Royal Canadian Mounted Police who has been charged with leaking state secrets offered to sell information to Phantom CEO.
Shout out to No Self.
Yeah.
Because you are a hooligan, and now I see where you get it from. You Canadians aren't as nice as we thought, huh?
Yeah, you're not apologizing everything that we thought.
Cool. And I like your bacon. That's fine.
Yeah, I'm okay with the Canadian bacon. So basically what they've done is this is a whole back and forth, a good read, though, about how the FBI, and this is one of the challenges. The encryption's solid. The math works out. That's why they're after passwords. That's why they're after backdoors. Mm-hmm. They know the encryption they're using is right. They know it's solid. You're not going to crack it. That's not where, and they just go, hey, whatever. That's, it takes way too much compute power to try to crack all these different keys. So we're just going to put a backdoor in it. Like, we're just going to go around you.
Dumb.
And it's an interesting read to think that they're on there. And this is why I don't trust any hardware solutions. It's one of the reasons I run Signal on my phone. I trust that as an application. Actually,
Keybase.
Signal's interesting. I don't know if you guys noticed this or not, but Signal, when there's an update, they don't let you post. They'll only it goes into a read-only mode, so it reads my messages, but won't let me post until I update. I seen it was an update. I didn't load it, and I just seen it and it was like immediately. It would not let me post anything. I was like,
That's
wow.
a good feature.
Yeah, it's like a feature. So it was an update I loaded, but didn't shut down the app. And it said restart the app. I'm like, I don't want to. I want to send a stupid meme to my friends. By the way, if you ever break into Signal and hack me, you're going to see just a lot of stupid memes. It's like, we don't really have the most interesting conversations. I'll throw it out there now. I'm not trying to throw you off the lead. I'm like, literally they're pretty boring. But I should do a video about tradecraft and OPSEC. That'd be kind of a fun, because I set all my stuff to be very ephemeral. I let all my messages expire unless there's a real reason for business to keep them. All my personal messages expire. They're of the moment.
Yeah.
And then they die after 24 to 48 hours. All my
His
Signal
die
friends.
after like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And sometimes seriously, like 5 minutes. And sometimes I can't get to them, and I'm just like, didn't see it.
That's not a bad way to be. I don't need an entire history of what I said. I know I said some dumb shit. I know I might have been drunk, and I might have posted a really dumb meme. And maybe I'll regret it. Maybe I won't. But I know it's gone, and I can only,
That's a good point. The history of what people have said in the moment has really hurt humanity.
So there was a time in your life, and this is the life I grew up, because I'm in my 40s. There was a time when you said it was a timeless moment. It was a memorable moment because you wanted to memorate, be in that. Well, now it's timeless, as in the FBI has a record. There's a record of goddamn everything being copied. All the metadata, all the events, all the locations they're doing. I mean, the government is, and this is, the whole Snowden revelation. They're slurping up all the data. So your memorable moment that you posted. And it's also interesting because I've been on Facebook for so long, and I've talked about before, the reason I'm on Facebook because I feel as though I control the narrative, in case you missed that episode. But one of the things about that is interesting to see what I was doing 10 years ago and posted on Facebook. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that. I checked in or did that. I mean, I've had Facebook for a long time, so I always check the memories, and it's like, ooh, wow.
Facebook, like, it's your anniversary for that time you walked your dog 5 years ago. You like,
yeah, it's still interesting because if Facebook has it, more than Facebook has it.
Facebook is the worst because I've had it since I was in 8th grade. And so when I go look at it, it's like kitty relationships and like just dumb shit, random like high school emotions, like I'm pissed off, I'm grounded right now, blah 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 blah, like this is my BBM number, hit me up, like all types of just.
See, I've seen Facebook
is different.
And its whole, like, when I started on Facebook, you actually had to have a school email to get on, and it was a nice network then. Like, it was fun. When they let the public on there.
For me, it was when my family got on there. That's when it got dead. The moment that moms start having Facebook, it was just like, my grandma got a Facebook, and she started sending me chain mail. Open this up because Jesus Christ is going to save your soul. And I'm like, oh, I'm done. It's over now.
It's over now.
Nah, I gotta leave now. Well, to Twitter I go.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's interesting, and I think about this because reminiscing is the older days of the internet. You really had to want to be there because it took a lot of effort. When I was, I started in the dial-up days, dial-up BBS stuff.
Yes.
Going in there. I had a TRS-80, so you have the sneaker net of passing floppies around. Then the BBS days, and then the early days of the internet with dial-up and things like that. I mean, it was a high bar to get on the internet. So the communities, I think, were really good because anyone who was there weren't the average people.
Yes.
So it was a very different place.
Very different.
Everyone there was tech savvy and generally more educated. So I think you just had a really good community.
Yeah.
The tools have become so easy to use. Even the uneducated masses have a voice now. They are able to post without very little effort. I'm not making fun of customers that came in the store today, but I'll bring one up. Like, they just have no idea I asked what their email address was because they're trying to set up Google quotes. They have no idea how to sign their Google account. They don't remember what their email address was. The good news is she was signed in on her phone. So I was like, hey, do you have a phone? Yeah. Do you have an Android phone? Yeah. I said, I took it. And she's like, you can get my email address from my phone? And I'm like, yeah. And like, she was happy to know she accidentally turned on Google Photos and had backups of all the things she thought she lost on her PC. So it was a happy ending here. But she's like, I don't know what my email address is. It's whatever the person at the Sprint store created. That was the reply.
Wow.
And then finding the password required a password reset, which was also, a lot of people just are very. It's not. I'm not making fun of them. They're not into the tech realm, but they use Facebook all the time. Anyways, rant over.
Yeah.
Because I'll go on forever. Now, this is interesting. Shareholders allege FedEx cover-up damages caused by NotPetya attack.
I bet.
You know, the only consequences, this is what I was thinking about. We talked about last night with a couple media friends. We were talking about like, the only damn consequences about any of all these ransomware attacks is not security. The security people are like, yeah, we heard you. We know. You told us to patch. We didn't. Blah, 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 blah. It's all the SEC because it's the money. It's like you guys were selling stocks when you knew you were breached. Like, that's the only everything that comes out of this in the reality of it.
Because that's literally the only time that it matters.
Yeah.
That's the only legislation around being breached is notification of shareholders.
Yeah.
There's no other legislation around it.
Nope.
You have no responsibility or duty. It all comes down to honor. And the responsibility and duty becomes to your fiduciaries.
Well, you do with
or the people that you're a fiduciary.
I mean, you
to.
have HIPAA. You have the ability to cover things like that. So you have to tell your patients that they're, the dentist. They have to tell people that someone else may have looked at your dental records, blah, blah, blah. They all got to send out letters and stuff like that and follow it. And I think people have become 100% immune from these letters. It would have been devastating a few years ago for a company to say, hey, we're a medical company and your medical records are breached. Oh my gosh, someone's looking at what pills I take. Somebody knows I got this or that or whatever. Now it's like, cool, I got 3 letters this week. People are like, you think they'll choose another dentist? You're like, no, the last dentist did it. The other dentist did it. The hospital did it. We're inundated. Like, whenever they offer me any type of breach protection, like, stuff, I'm like, dude, how much more do I need? Like, it's we're going to offer breach protection. Bullshit. Who cares?
Right.
I've been involved in like 5 of them now. I get a new credit card twice a year, not because I want it, but because the credit card companies lose something. Some company gets hacked and have my credit card. It's a process procedure, not even a shock anymore.
Sheesh.
So I laugh that I seen this on here, and I didn't know FedEx owned the trucking company. So I didn't know FedEx got hit with Petya. Then I dug in a little deeper, and it turns out it was one of the trucking companies, TNT, that they owned, and et cetera, et cetera. So it was interesting. But once again, it just comes to the point that nothing really happens in security on there. It's just shareholders and people with the money. That's the part the government cares about. DoorDash.
Yes.
Yep. That's what everybody wants to talk about.
Yep.
Yes.
DoorDash doesn't just pick up your food orders; it delivers your data right to hackers.
I love the register.
Dude, I as soon as I knew DoorDash was hacked, I don't care who wrote the best article. I wanted to go get the register's thoughts on it because they're going to have a good byline.
They're gonna peck at you.
They're going to peck at you. The byline on the register is always amazing, and they didn't disappoint. So, yeah, profile info on 5 million users. 5 million people. I didn't know DoorDash was that big. Look, there's enough strangers when I go to fast food places touching my food. I don't need to add more of them. I'm just saying it. Like,
I don't know, man.
Look, I worked
How many miles is Southgate? Right? Because
close enough that I drive places.
Exactly. Like when you live in downtown Detroit, you're like, man,
it's far.
I don't know if I want to trek out into the world for this right now. I should just have DoorDash bring it.
Look, when I was talking earlier for a
pray
show
over the food.
about having a bunch of idiot friends, a group of them all worked at fast food, and it turned me off to fast food, all right?
Oh, yeah.
Like, they were doing some shit. and reasons I shouldn't eat fast food. So, like, I go places I know, and I don't need another stranger in between that says, oh, I know this guy doesn't tip as good. And by the way, I do tip good, but still, they're like, I don't like that Tom Lawrence guy, and I'm going to go piss on his pizza or something. Like, dude, that was common. that when my friends who worked at Pizza Hut, they told me horrifying stories.
Oh, I bet.
They all got fired, which made me really happy. They're like, we got fired. I'm like, good. You shouldn't be pissing on pizza, dude, and dumb shit that you were doing. Mm-hmm. Anyways, but back to this.
Pissing on pizza?
Oh, God. There's stories, man. There's stories. Kids in fast food. Who do you think works in? I'm actually happier to see adults working in fast food because someone's like, cut that shit out. But the dial-up service that said on May 4th of this year, so been a while, some miscreant was able to breach into DoorDash's technology providers and view account information, including physical addresses of punters, order histories, phone numbers, hash and salted passwords, plus the last 4 digits of some users' credit card numbers and bank accounts. So it doesn't sound like it was a full breach in terms of...
No, the driver still got all of their driver's license numbers taken.
Yeah.
Which is huge because all I need is your driver's license number, date of birth, and the last 4 of your social to run a background check, which lets me know everything about you.
Right.
I probably can answer all of your security questions based on background check.
Yeah, and it was...
Background check costs $20.
Right, and so that's a big part is the drivers are getting screwed more than the users of DoorDash. So
I don't care about the last 4 of my well, I kind of do because the bin is the first 8 numbers.
Yeah.
So then the last 8 numbers, right? So now you only got to guess 4 numbers.
And there's a algorithm to that numbers, and there's only certain ones that are acceptable. So you don't try all 8 digits. There's a limited number of 8 digits that you can try. So there's ways you can will it down, but the reality is...
There's still worthless data because my full credit card number is for sale right next to it for $7.
Exactly. Is it going for $7? I don't think it goes for $7 anymore. Bro, I think the prices are lower than that.
It's like what, $1.99 for like
for
a credit card number?
Yeah.
Not for like a punch, not like a slide.
$1.
$1.
Yeah.
For the number, not for the track data.
There was a good report, I'm trying to remember who had it. It might have been Talos, but they were summarizing just how cheap data has gotten, how cheap these breaches become, to the point where they're almost not worth it for the hackers to spend too much time on it because they can't sell them for much money.
Yeah.
So, it's going to screw the people who work for DoorDash more than the people who use DoorDash. So if you're a DoorDash user, it sucks, but you're at less risk than the people who work for it. If you're a DoorDash person who works there, check your shit. Keep an eye out for some real problems because they got your driver's license.
I thought they got the password database. I was going to be like, wow.
It was hashed and salted.
Most of America.
So, yeah. They at least had that going, you know. They're not StockX. I mean, they're not just MD5 in it.
Nice one.
I gotta take a dig at them. Why not?
Right.
Flips over steak.
Yeah.
flame comes
And
up.
by the way, so far that I'm aware of, at least publicly knowledge, and I don't talk to many people at StockX, but there's been no further talk about that. I think everyone went to sleep on that breach. So I gotta admit, these guys looking a little off laptop scene. I gotta
not even going to talk.
Like the privacy screen on this is so damn good.
you can't see.
The privacy screen on this new laptop is insane. Like he's sitting right here, and I cannot
we don't
see
shit.
Like it's a black screen.
It's just nothing on the screen. I'm just gonna throw that out there. I'm so impressed with it. Like
I have to get
just to let you guys know it's 3M. I'll put my Amazon link in the description. No, I'm kidding.
I mean it's just it's totally.
Yeah, so the 3M screen protector is amazing because one half of it is glossy, the other half of it is matte. That's what I learned. Remember yesterday we said we was gonna get a matte one.
Yeah.
I just took a picture. This is what it looks like from the side. Tell me that laptop doesn't look off. Like it's fucking off.
Yeah, it looks off.
There you go,
dude. That is. It's
That's
crazy.
a good thing though.
That's a good thing. This is what you want. This is look.
And also, I have a fingerprint scanner that is not only how I log in, but also how I do sudo.
If I would have known you could do sudo for it, I would have spent the extra money to get it on
He
here.
just showed me you can do so. I didn't know that either.
I love that.
So
That's
PAMD
good.
is scary. Like you can do some weird shit with PAMD apparently.
Yeah, he's got PAMD so it does sudo. And I tell you what, there's been times I'm like, crap, I gotta type sudo.
Right? Like you get all freaked out.
Yeah.
Like,
Hold on, I'm logging in, guys.
Man.
Dude, you ever watch Citizen 4 when Snowden did it? He puts the blanket over his head when he logs in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he climbs under the blankets and logs in. I mean, that's the way you have to do it. Someone's going to watch the keyboard strokes here. Hold on.
Yeah,
Like,
the last conference I had to put my password in too many times, and I was like, yeah, I'm done.
This
like,
password, I just burned this password.
I stopped. Not only did I burn the password, right, because I had to do that, because I figured somebody shoulder surfed me. What I also did was I stopped taking my computer to conferences. I stopped. I just will take an iPad because I can use my finger or my face, and I'll just write notes and take pictures that way. And I end up paying for something called Notability, $30 app, but amazing. It definitely replaced the need for my laptop.
I'm jealous. You guys got the nice Lenovo's out. Mine is.
You
broken.
have a Mac. His computer is $750. My computer is $350. Your computer is $1,900.
But I have a Lenovo.
I'm jealous.
I have to get the fan.
Is this
fixed.
plastic? Is this plastic?
I still haven't gotten the fan fixed on mine.
We'll get there.
We'll get there.
All right, let's talk about this now. Germany shuts down illegal data center in former NATO bunker. That's a good read. Tell us about this, Savior.
So apparently, if you guys are, kind of on the gray side of the world, you probably know of places to be able to go get wares and tools and things that do some interesting things. Well, this was actually a Bulletproof hoster. A guy by the name of, I can't think of his name right now, but basically he's like a 60-year-old Dutch dude. He ran at least 3 or 4 different markets out of this data center. Yep. Apparently, he bought a debunked NATO bunker and hired, and they say it was highly guarded, highly surveilled. He had his own private security, and at some point they showed up and raided the place.
I'm sure his facility has been on that. They did a show on data centers, like inside bunkers. I'm sure he was one of the guys on there. There's only a few like that in the world, so I'm sure he's one of them.
They ran Cannabis Road, Orange Chemicals, and something Wall.
I think the Wall Street
Market. Yeah,
that's like one of the most famous ones out there. You could get everything.
So they ran those 3 at least out of that bunker. That's the Pirate Bay though.
I know.
Okay, that's also where iPredator runs. iPredator is in there.
Yeah.
And so if you guys want to go and sign up for a real VPN service that actually cares about your privacy, this is where your data would be piping through. This is where iPredator runs. Is also where the Pirate Bay hosts.
Yeah.
This is the VPN provider of my choice. This is why. You see why.
I mean,
it's inside of a cave.
I'm going to go ahead and add this to our show notes, but yeah, this is beautiful.
So I would say go ahead and sign up for iPredator. It's something that you should be excited to. That's also what Erratic was using. Mind you, she didn't get caught because of her operational security. Technically she did, but it wasn't because of the logs or because they know where she was coming from.
It was choices.
It was because she actually posted this to her Slack and GitHub. She was using iPredator as her VPN for all of her attacking.
Yeah. And I'll admit, too, what other VPN provider I've talked about, PIA, one of the reasons I like them, they have put their money where their mouth is. They paid for the security audit of OpenVPN. Mm-hmm. They put their money out to do it. They run a pretty tight as well. They've also exposed their servers and been audited to show that they're doing that. So they're another one that's proven pretty trustworthy in the market, but also has the worst naming and worst branding of any VPN ever. Like, it's private internet access. And they have a stupid logo and everything about them. Like, their branding is bad, but at least they done some good shit. I like them, but that place I just showed you is also really crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
It's nuts, that whole thing. I'll throw it in the show notes here.
So if you want to do Bulletproof hosting, you're probably going to want to think further than just the bunker. You're probably going to want to have to get to the next step. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. I mean, I would say Germany is probably a bad place to do it. For sure.
Germany takes security pretty seriously.
Extremely
they don't turn a blind eye to it. I mean, they're not the UK, but the Ukraine. I mean,
shots fired.
Oh no,
the UK tries.
The UK tries, but the
Ukraine is like literally occupied by Russia. It's sad.
Well, and here's the thing: you have to deal with crazy political climate, and you have to play the politics of the area, but they'll let a lot of things slide that you may not see slide at some of the other places. That's why you'll see all these hackers being there, because as long as I don't know the details of it, rumor mill has it that they're paying off some of the locals to turn a blind eye. And the reality is, because of the feelings that Russia may have towards America or former Soviet bloc nations, is you're stealing from Americans and you're bringing money here. Why should we hate you at all? Like, when was the last time you bought a product from Russia?
I mean, it's kind of like
exactly.
Besides vodka,
it's kind of that way in the U.S. if you're like hacking Russians and Iranians. Nobody bats an eye if you're like, I just pwned 500,000 Iranian routers. They're like, cool. Are you using them to attack American banks or anything? No, I'm using them to attack Russian banks.
All right.
Carry on, soldier.
Carry on. There's different perspectives on different things like that. So
just make sure you pay your taxes when you cash out the coin, right?
Dude.
Because then we'll fuck you up.
The thing I always bring up to people is we had everyone after Capone, right? This is how powerful, and it's still to this day the same way here in America. Who took down Capone? IRS. You think about like the FBI can't do it, the law enforcement can't do it. IRS is like, yo, shut them down.
Yeah, because like the IRS is like, yeah, sure, okay, you're getting away with all this other stuff because people are taking the rap for that, but your social's this, and like you're not paying taxes, so
yeah, that matters. That matters more than all the illicit activities. Is did you pay taxes on those illicit activities?
Your name on the list of people that have paid in the previous years.
Yeah, that's
Tekashi up there like, I heard Al Capone didn't pay his taxes. Who else you got? I hear Tom has a Tesla.
Right.
I don't know. We need to go check the statements.
Russian hacker pleads guilty to huge data thefts from JPMorgan and others.
Oof.
A Russian hacker admits Monday that he executed the largest known cyber attack against U.S. banks, pleading guilty to charges that he stole more than 80 million clients of JPMorgan Chase and other institutions that had hundreds of millions of dollars in ill-gotten gains. 36 years old.
Sheesh, that's intense, bro.
Yeah, E-Trade, Fidelity, Dow Jones, his co-conspirators use information to apply customers with spam emails promoting stocks, hoping to cash out at higher prices, the government said. See, it's not that they hacked, it's that they manipulated stock prices. That's what mattered.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
There's a distinction here. I remember when this was going on.
It looks like they also were doing some online gambling.
Yeah. They were doing a little.
Another reason that people get caught up for online gambling is what? Not paying taxes on earnings.
Yep.
The only reason why there's a huge magnifying glass on it.
Mm-hmm. I remember when this was going on a few years ago. It's funny because this is like, I'm hoping Dark Knight Diaries maybe digs into this case, because once this case all pleads guilty, then a lot of this can become public information. But I remember when this was going on from a stock manipulation, there was a lot of spam going on to tell you to buy or sell stock. It was really weird type of spam. And I'm like, my immediate assessment is like, oh yeah, this is definitely a way to affect a stock price in a way that you could buy or either short sell it, so you're going to bet against the stock and do a short sell, and then ride the bump. So it's like, this is ways you can manipulate money markets in a massive way. And I remember this was happening. This was from numerous years ago when they charged it. It takes a long time for cases to come to trial. So definitely interesting read, and a very different kind of hack because it's money manipulation. But of course, that's a scary. As much as that is a lucrative business, you're messing with money, and the IRS cares a lot, and so does the SEC and all the other parties involved.
Listen, to my hackers out there, if you mess with that money, they're coming straight.
Yeah, don't play with the money. I always tell people like, yeah, I've been playing with the reverse engineering stuff for the bird scooter, but I won't touch. I'll pay for any bird. I'll pay for any spin because the moment, and I don't want it for free. The moment you start playing around with money, the moment that's wire fraud immediately.
Yeah,
and wire fraud is like 7 years immediately. That's how they got Kwame. They got Kwame on wire fraud. Like, you don't want to be caught up on the wrong end of mishandling funds or playing around with other people's money. Just, have fun in other ways. There's other ways to have fun.
Absolutely. I thought this was a good arc. I think you, by
No Self.
Not Dan.
No Self sent this to us.
Oh, okay, No Self. Okay. I wasn't sure who originally posted it.
And not Dan was the person who originally posted it, of course. But,
okay.
Which I am not Dan, by the way.
I am not Dan.
I am not Dan.
I am not Dan.
This is not a new publication. It's been around for a minute, but it's a good concept. And also, we'll mention up that we have a video that posted that you have pinned at the top of your tweet. It also talks about how to bypass HR and how to get into hacking. So in the previous year, I'm making this guide for one reason and one reason alone. I want to help people, mainly younger hackers, figure out how to legitimate their day jobs. If this post ends up helping one person get a career started, it'll be worth it. I'm not trying to convert black hats to white hats. I barely even subscribe to the classification of black hat versus white hat in the first place. However, they're useful in this guide, so you'll see it a few times. And it's a longer walkthrough, but it's I do like that meme. It's a Unix system. I know this. God, that was going around for so long. By the way, there's Reddit. I think it's Reddit r Unix porn. It's at the top of that one for a while too. There's a lot of stuff in there, but it's a lot of it's one of those things where we all start out curious, we start poking at things and stuff like that, and how do you turn it into a job? And this is always, even a challenge, even if you have a career in it already, how do you try to monetize it? Because it can be really difficult. There's only a few people like Tavis Normandy out there, but he's someone who clearly someone's seen the value in. It's hard to get noticed. It's hard to have someone see the value in what you do to turn this into a career choice. But it's very fulfilling as a career because, finding bugs and hacking and stuff is, I'm doing it all the wrong way. I own a business, so I can try to find free time for myself. That we know I don't have a boss, so I can find time to hack on stuff. Which turns out running a business is really fucking hard. I thought it'd be easier, and I don't have as much time as I want to poke and hack at things as I want. So, don't do it my way. It was too difficult. But if you can find someone, and there's more and more places. When you think about the groups that work for like Talos Security, Google's Project Zero, it's not just Tavis. We talk about them a lot, but like they have a pretty good team of people who are just given a big pile of money and they just do research. I said I was going to do it, and I haven't done it yet, but I want to try to reach out to, now that the dust has settled, do you know that two of the security researchers that found numerous CPU flaws, like not Rowhammer, but the Spectre Meltdown, they're at University of Michigan, down the street. Wow. I thought I reached out to them because I read the details they wrote. Some of them have personal blogs. I'm like, they seem like pretty normal. Well, above average people. I'm not going to call them normal. I mean, the person spent 9 months poking at the hardware level of the CPU to figure out this attack. So obviously they done it, but they're university researchers. Like, that's their actual career, is their research scientist. So I thought they might be someone we get to an interview sometime. So nice? Yeah. The world of academia is weird.
Yeah. Or you just get money for researching.
I have friends that work in academia, and it's great. And it's summed up as my favorite quote in the very first Ghostbusters, if you remember, when I think it's Bill Murray goes, "You don't know what the real world's like. They expect results. We can't leave academia." Like, that sums up it. Like, they expect results. Someone will just hand us piles of money to do stuff all day.
Right, sure.
Yeah. Real world's a tough deal. But this is a good read about getting a job in that cybersecurity. If you have a passion for it, and it turns out you have the skills for it, things like HackerOne are interesting and they are paying out. But there's challenges even getting in and staying in, because there was a good article, and I wish I would have found it and saved it for the show. But I'd heard this on a podcast and followed up on the article. I think it was on Security Now 2 episodes ago, where they talk about, you set up these accounts with there, but if you don't find breaches so often, you kind of fall out of favor with them, because they're like, you don't do it very often. You only find things once in a while. And then they have the golden people who are like, dude, they're just in it all the time.
Yeah,
and
the whole ranking system.
The ranking system is very hard to stay at the top of.
Signal.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sure, Signal.
Yeah, so that I get it. It's kind of a challenge, but it's an interesting career. If you then you go off the rails, like we just were talking about the one hacker, Sandbox Escaper. Yeah. You're so good you don't even report them. You just drop 0 days randomly from a tent somewhere.
Not to mention, like the same thing happened to V-Bulletin. Whoever found the V-Bulletin 0 day. That's a 0 day, right? Oh, and by the way, we weren't affected by it. You know why? Because we run Discord, Keybase, and Discourse.
Yeah. Yep. So I wasn't affected by that. So that was interesting. It was Xavier messaged me right away. I'm like, oh, actually, I didn't choose that as my platform.
Because it was the same day.
Oh, it was right away.
We debunked the other.
Oh, yeah.
So we made a video where we debunked another CVE or another,
alleged CVE.
Exploit DB thing that was supposed to come out.
Was it the LastPass thing you guys did?
No. Oh. We did. So someone had, and it got posted on, what was the place? It wasn't a validated. Exploit DB. It was posted on. The CVE was assigned but was not validated.
It was a reserved CVE number.
Reserved CVE number.
And it was for PFSense.
Yep.
It was supposed to be a remote code injection. So this means that you should be able to inject code into the actual file system,
that's what
and then have it execute by.
And here's the actual. Besides the proof of concept not working, it was also funny because the lead developer over at PFSense
reached out to us.
Yeah, he tweeted too, because he was like, this is bullshit. I'm like,
not only did it not come to us, but it's total nonsense.
It's total nonsense. The proof of concept didn't work. It's also stupid.
Oh, and you needed root.
You needed root to do it.
You needed to be UID 0.
Yeah, the prerequisite was UID 0 in order to make it work. So even though his proof of concept code didn't work out of the box without some tweaking, you had to have root. By the way, if you have root to the box, why do I need some weird code to inject a file onto it?
It has a run command.
I can SSH in.
In the web GUI, it has a run command button.
Oh, it was
weird.
Yeah, it was kind of one of those things like you're really reaching and call this a CVE. Right. It's a weird way through XMLRPC to write a file to pfSense. Cool. I don't know why you would do it because if I have the root access, I can just log in and write a file to pfSense.
But anyway, while we're just all like all over this and beating this up, I was like, hey Tom, but this one might be real.
Yeah, and that turned into I do
like this was legitimate.
Yeah, I run forums, and by the way, because sometimes I'm doing videos for an hour and drinking whiskey, and occasionally I even sleep. I don't have time to update everything right away. Right. So all of my stuff's on auto update. It does every 12 hours. It checks. It auto patches, auto updates. Please, nice. I encourage all that. It's worth the risk because someone says it's not worth the risk of auto updating because of breaking. I'd rather have a broke than a pwn server. A broke server, yes. I can fix. A pwn server, I'm not sure how bad it's pwned. Yep. It's really not going to go well.
It really does depend on what the usage is. I could understand why somebody wouldn't want it to be broke versus pwned. But
I'm also creating like, for example, our critical systems, they replicate every hour. So if one of the updates broke, I have an hour I can roll back on. There's a constant replication of any of our systems that are critical to my company. Then we take offline snapshots, and then how I create I'm actually working on a video for this tomorrow. My immutable backups are offline. They're physically disconnected and locked on encrypted drives kept in safe. 2 separate ones at 2 separate locations. Mm-hmm. So if you were to somehow find everything that I have online and found a way to stop my things, you would then have to physically get to something because it's not plugged into anything to get that and then unencrypt it or physically destroy it because then it would destroy the data. So it's just like defense in depth, protection in depth, backup in depth.
Get a phone call that the data center's on fire. You're like, wait a second. And you like go over to, you're like, zeros? Yeah. Somebody's overwritten it all with zeros. Lay down the gauntlet on YouTube. So I was like, I'll show you.
So, the way you mitigate against the auto updates is the fact that you keep backing up, you keep iterative backups of there so I can roll back. It really is. You trust me, my staff will notify, hey, Tom, this shit quit working with an update. And I think it's maybe happened once over the years with these backups, but knock on wood, haven't been pwned so far. And,
you just went through and, did another comb through, so you probably push the being pwned out a little further.
Always. Yeah. Yeah, and we'll talk offline. Xavier, I still got to have him do a more thorough test on some things because I have some ideas. I've been locking things down, and we've been playing with the lab, but we're going to get off topic. But
you're already probably squirreled off.
Yeah.
But that's why you guys come.
So you go. We're not off topic in terms of this channel. That we're still talking about security, how we do it, because our day jobs are still doing security. No one has laid piles of money on the table that says, "Hey guys, you should just poke at shit all day and make videos about it." Because as soon as someone does that, I'm willing to sell my company for that.
I swear.
How
much money are we talking?
Yeah.
Start there a little bit. That's the one. We just did that one.
This one, just that one. I'm trying to think. Is there any more? Are we at the bottom? We're at the bottom.
I think we're at the bottom already.
I think we made it.
We did. We've been in it for an hour. This is an hour show, so we roughly an hour. We don't really set a timer. It's absolutely been coincidence that we run out of material after an hour.
Has it really been an hour already? Yeah, it has. Wow.
It has been an hour. Well, we could probably just sit here and bullshit with you guys all day.
Yeah. We got guests that we probably want to sit
are we going to introduce the guests? Or do you
want... I don't know if you want to be on camera or not. It's live audience. Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes, so occasionally there's people who hang out on the other side of the camera. It's just something random. At some point when we build the next studio, when this gets bigger, maybe we'll have an audience because then we'll have an interactive and then
see Tom's vision. You guys heard it here first.
Vision. We're gonna make this happen.
Ooh, he wants to have the whole entire studio. They're gonna be throwing shit at us. Because I know if I was in the crowd, I'd be throwing shit at us.
The lav cues going.
Gotta have the lav cues going.
Yeah, have the laugh track, have it one of the buttons. I'll get the big stream deck, so I got some stuff sliding in, like the live streamers do with the games.
What is the film or TV show of the week?
The film and TV show of the week is Gomorrah. The film came out in 2010.
Ooh, my boy had that locked and loaded for y'all. He thought about y'all.
I've been binging on this show. I've been binging on this show all week. G-O, you know how to spell Gomorrah. Y'all know how to spell Gomorrah. It's about the mob in Italy, but not like the American romanticized version. Like, I'm gonna make you an offer you can't refuse. No, it's like the real gritty, urban reality of being in the mob in Italy.
Okay.
And it's great. I mean, it's like the mob version of Game of Thrones. Like 6 people die an episode, and you don't never know who. And it's
all right.
You have to watch it.
Is it on Netflix or? You can find it somewhere.
You have to find it somewhere. I had to dig for this.
All right.
Because only thing, it's available a lot of places, but it's in Italian. So if you don't know Italian, you're pretty much screwed, and there's not that many.
It was got some subtitles, right?
You either have to find them, and the subtitles are made by regular people.
Oh.
So those differ.
Oh, that'd be tough.
Yeah.
So.
But I do have. I'll leave a link to where I watched it at that have hard coded subs.
Ding 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 ding. We're ringing the whiskey bell.
So I will watch the movie first and then dive into the TV show.
All right.
But either or is
that's
excellent.
Interesting. I have a book recommendation, which is I've gushed about it a couple times already, but the Snowden book, really good read. It's kind of two books. The first probably half the book, Snowden's life and the hacker mentality and his career path. So there's a lot of that in there. It's a really interesting read. He's a compelling, interesting person, quite skilled, quite humble, very everything about it was like very intriguing. So the storyline build up. Now the second part of it, a crime thriller. It is a thriller of every step of the way, especially the last couple chapters.
And then I had to leave the country, and then I had to be smuggled into this country.
Oh, the thought process and the OPSEC and the tradecraft. He is detail-oriented.
And he's burned it, so that means that you'll never be able to use those methods again.
Oh, no, they're still working. It's all how he used Tails, how he did each step of the way.
Oh, no, I don't mean that. I mean how to smuggle himself in and out of countries.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure the FBI read this book like, oh, that's an interesting way.
Yeah. Well, and of course they knew. There's so much to it. It's a really solid read. It's top to bottom. Everything about it was really good. I enjoyed the book from start to finish. I actually want to read it again because there is some really great quotes in there that I got to extract because he articulated them so well. When you take the time to really think about a quote, you get it well. I'm hoping maybe they'll just show up on Goodreads because I did it as an audiobook, so it's harder to extract the quotes. Yeah. But I may even buy the hardcover book. Maybe I'll fly to Russia and get it signed, right?
I learned something interesting today. Tom likes to listen to audiobooks at 2 times the speed.
I listen to everything at 2s.
And he reads at 4 times the speed. It's just interesting to see someone do this.
I listen to 2X, almost all my podcasts, which I listen to a lot of them, and Spreed, if you guys have watched. Maybe I should pull something up on Spreed.
Yeah, just show the people.
Any of you guys may find, actually, this is probably a good...
It's like flashcard on steroids.
Flashcards on storage. We're going to pull this up real quick here. Oh, come on. Let me get the right text highlighted. So this is Spreed, for those of you that don't know. And this is how I read my morning articles. Not every morning, but enough. And I forgot to grab the first letter. Whatever. You're going to get the idea here. But I read this at about right around 900. And you can tell if you stare at the screen. This is not, it seems like this would be hard to read until you've really spent some time on it. Like, oh, this is easy to push 1,000 words a minute right into my head while I drink my coffee in the morning, and I put them at a larger font, or this font's about the same font on this laptop that I usually have it at. I drink my coffee, I can just stare at the screen without having to scroll or anything like that and just push a lot of data in my head. And it works really well for reading things. It's a matter of getting used to it, but it's so, language to me is there's a certain level of inefficiency when we communicate, and that's why I'm always thinking to slow myself down. There's a good it was in Reddit. Someone was talking about they measured all the languages. They did find out that it's a human limitation to some extent, where humans, all the languages communicate at about the same bit rates. Someone broke down every language from Chinese, Arabic, all of them to different bit rates at the way we communicate, even though they sound like people talk faster because of the way the syllables are if you don't understand language, but the level of communication is actually very similar. So I think there's ways we can get information in our heads faster. We can clearly read faster. And if you look at and research some people like Kim Peek is someone that's always fascinated with me. Kim Peek is the basis for Rain Man. He was the guy that used to read one page with one eye and the other page with one eye, and he was called The Man Who Can't Forget. There's a documentary about him. He was non-functioning as far as his cognitive abilities were nil. But you could ask him any book he had ever read in his entire life, and he could tell you what was on every page of every book he had ever read. And it challenged the way scientists thought about memory. They go, we didn't think it was possible. He is mentally, he's not capable of brushing his own teeth. But the guy was able to do and pull off those tasks. So we know at least in some level our brain can do these things. When you meet people who are savants at things. So it just makes me think about that a lot. Kind of going off on those dives and different tangents.
I saw one about a guy who he wasn't really functional, but if you showed him a picture or something, he could paint it. You only had to show it to him once, and he could paint it again. So they took him on a helicopter ride of the cityscape. Yeah. And then they took him back in the room, and he painted it.
Exact.
Everything. The people, the cars, everything.
Yeah, it's really interesting. My sister has a form of dyslexia, but she's an incredible sculptor.
Okay.
And it's I didn't know this, and this became my own research when I got older. She wasn't diagnosed until like her senior year of high school, or maybe even after that. But she struggled in school. My sister's not someone who's ever done well. She has no technology. I have a photo somewhere of my sister holding a phone last year. Her Palm Trio finally died. Technology eludes her, like using it. Yeah, she once she gets used to using a piece of technology, she never wants to let it go because she'd have to learn something new, and she doesn't want to. But my sister's like an incredible artist. She's been featured in galleries, and she works for a museum right now. And it's just like really weird how she can look at something once and then like sculpt it out of nothing. And I'm like, I have no skill towards that at all. But her other skills are really lacking in some ways. So, anyways, that was the end of How They Got Hacked. Those are our recommendations.
Yes, that is everything for today.
That's everything for today.
I would suggest you guys go check out Krebs the Doxer. He has a really cool article where he interviews the guy who sent him heroin.
Oh yeah, you sent me that earlier.
Sent him pure heroin. Called the police, tried to get him swatted. And then after this guy got locked up, no, that's the payroll HR one.
Okay.
There's another one.
Yeah, there's another one.
It's from like 2 days ago. Anyway. Like if you scroll down, it's the one right there. Interview with the guy who tried to frame me for heroin possession. So his gang actually was like sending him like wreaths for like funerals and just all types of stuff, like to his house in Virginia. Yeah. But he does a no holds bars interview. It's pretty intense. We wouldn't be able to do it on YouTube. We probably wouldn't be able to show the contents because it has some language that I'm not sure that you could say out loud in this climate.
So we'll leave a link to it.
Yeah. So check that out. That's something that's super interesting because it's something that you want to think about as you put yourself out there, right? I'm Xavier D. Johnson. It's probably not that hard to find me. As you put yourself out there as, a personality, especially if you're going to do investigative journalism, you could piss off the wrong person and they're going to retaliate against you. And most of the time they have a gang. And so you're going to have a bunch of people retaliating against you. This is why I don't do investigative stuff. I used to do a lot of malware reversal, and I still like to, but not for the same reasons I used to. I used to so that I could track things and actually try and find the source of where this was happening. And then after I turned over one too many stones, I went, you know what? I'm not going to play that game. I'd rather just enjoy the process of reversal. Let's not do this for investigative reasons. So I think it's extremely interesting, and he has some very interesting work.
And this goes to anyone. I mean, Snowden doxed the government. He really, in the breakdowns of what goes on, he endangered his life. He sacrificed everything. He starts out in the very beginning. He prefaces it. Matter of fact, I'm going to pull up. I was very specific because I occasionally write something articulate. Yeah, it's on occasion. But this is my thoughts on the book. And I'll read this is on my Facebook. It's public information. And it's too big to post on Twitter, so that's why I still post things on Facebook. It's good for long-form discussion occasionally still. If you have the right friend circle.
Is it public?
Yeah. My Facebook.
Grab the link so people can just read it.
Yeah, but I was real quick here. I just finished reading Edward Snowden's book, The Permanent Record, which is a story of how he released the details on how the U.S. government was lying to the public about the existence and use of surveillance systems. He did so in 2013 and caused dramatic change in the way we operate online. Edward Snowden took an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. This book is an excellent story and a reminder that being a patriot does not mean prioritizing service of government above all else. Being a patriot means knowing when to protect your country, knowing when to protect your Constitution, and knowing when to protect your countrymen from the violations and encroachments of adversaries. And those adversaries don't have to be foreign countries. There are so many moments in life when you have witnessed some injustice, big or small, and looked away because of the consequences or intervening seemed too intimidating. But there is a limit to the amount of incivility and inequality, inhumanity that each individual can tolerate. For Snowden, that line was crossed, and he risked everything to bring us the truth. I highly recommend this book if you care about to understand how these systems work and how he risked it all to tell us about it. That was my review of the book that I posted. I didn't post this yet. The reason I wrote this is going to go on Goodreads, which I have an account there. And this is my honest opinion of the book. I'm actually grabbing a few of those phrases before someone tries to call me out and grab a phrase. Yes, it's a phrase he used in a book for those of you that read it. Going, yeah, didn't he say there's a level of invincibility? I've had people say that, like, hey, you pulled kind of slightly context. I'm like, yeah, I read the book and then I'm quoting part of the context of the book. Yes, it's my quote because I used a couple of the same words, but I thought his words were very compelling, and my goal is to get you to read the book to get you thinking about it as well. So that's my side note that I don't think belongs in there. I mean, I put that in parentheses before. Yes, some quote out of this came out of the book. I'm only a limited amount of articulate. I'm not an English major. Occasionally I write in articulate things, but not super articulate. Anyways, that was How You Got Hacked, episode 28.
28.
Keep jumping off topic. It's because we were drinking whiskey before it started.
It's the whiskey.
I'm didn't eat a lot of food, had a lot of whiskey. We'll probably bullshit a little more before we leave here. So
yeah.
Was the movie? And someone asked if the movie Stone was any good. I purposely didn't watch it. So I watched Citizen 4, which was the documentary about it. Which, by the way, that part of the book where they came and interviewed was really interesting, and all the people involved in that. I didn't watch the movie because I thought it would probably be a bunch of bunk and bullshit. And I don't know if it is or not. And now because I've now read from Snowden, who wrote the book himself, reading that book, now I want to watch the movie, because that way, at least when I watch the movie, I'm not going to be biased. I'm going to say, oh, that didn't really happen, or that did. Now, the Rubik's Cube scene, it was part of the trailer for the movie. That's real. I will say, after reading the book, the real. The Rubik's Cube, yes, that's how he smuggled data out. I'm willing to bet there is not a goddamn Rubik's Cube in the NSA right now. I will say that is, as you said, how he got the data out. Yeah, there's not a Rubik's Cube anywhere in the NSA, FBI, CIA. And you read the book and you understand what I'm talking about.
They read that like, okay, check.
Dude, his tradecraft is awesome. Like, the level he went through to go through that. I won't spoil the book at all, but wow. Yeah. It makes it compelling. He talks about how he interacted, how he engaged with people, how people underestimated him and why, and the strategies he used. He lets you in his head and talk about it. And the reality is there's not a way to defend against the way he did it. That's the best part. He did things that it's just the mentality and keeping good OPSEC. So good. So good.
Interesting.
So, all right, man. I think it's time for Xavier to press the button.
Yes, it is that time of day.
That ends the live stream. It's over here.
Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you, as always.
Guests for coming, and see you guys later.